So talking about Rahu as the Atma Karaka, seduced by novelty, trivia, obsessions, fascination. How do we calculate that? Should we use Rahu as the Atma Karaka at all? I talk about this and more. So we're talking about the Atma Karakas, the different Atma Karaka planets, and we're going to start with Rahu as the Atma Karaka, and I'm going to be moving backwards. This also allows me to address the issue of whether we have 7 or 8 what are called Chara Karakas. Now I just use the term Chara Karakas, which are from the Jaimini system, and they're determined by the degrees of ecliptic longitude that the planets have traversed in each of the signs. And they are used as reference points in the Jaimini system in many different ways. There's an entire, actually most of the Jaimini Upadesha Sutras is dedicated to analyzing the different Chara Karakas in the Navamsha chart and also by extension different harmonic charts. I'm not going to be talking about all that. But that's the technical, that's one of the main ways that they're used. But also as a principle, we can understand these movable or Chara Karakas, starting with the Atma Karaka, the one in the highest degree, and then we have a Macha Karaka, Brachu Karaka, Machu Karaka, and it goes all the way down. It's also used to determine what's called the Karakamsha, which is, again, there are a couple ways to do this. I'm not going to get into a bunch of Jaimini controversies here, but the way I've seen it used best and the most effective is to take the sign that the Atma Karaka occupies in the Navamsha chart and then take that sign and read that as the Karakamsha in the Rashi chart. Again, if that's over your head and complicated, don't worry about it, but this is one of the other uses of the Atma Karaka. By the way, you can use all of these same principles to analyze all of the different Chara Karakas, not only in the Rashi chart, but in the different harmonic charts. These are all things that I've been doing for a long time. This is sort of, it's not really going off the script of Jaimini, but because Jaimini Sutras is mainly devoted to all of the aphorisms, that's what most of Jaimini Sutras is dedicated to. It gives all these principles and then all these aphorisms. The aphorisms are fascinating because they tell you a lot of interesting, fascinating things about the soul, but the principles themselves are what are so powerful. So I'll probably do some videos explaining how to do those things. I actually have a couple already up here on my YouTube channel. If you want to search, Jaimini, I've gone over a couple of these principles that I've used. I've taught quite extensively on how to take the principles of the Chara Karakas, the Padas, the Rashi aspects, the Chara Dasha, and how to really use that to enhance your Parashara astrology. So you can explore that on this channel as well. There's a bit of controversy about whether we use 7 or 8 Karakas in the scheme, and the rules are pretty clear from what I understand. It says 7 unless you have any planets of the same degree, then you wind up using 8. Now, it's been rare that I've ever seen a chart that didn't have at least one planet in the same degree as another. You almost always get one planet at the same degree as another, in which case you would then use Rahu as the 8th Karaka rather than just the 7 starry planets, the Sun through Saturn. You would then use Rahu as the 8th Karaka if there are 2 planets occupying the same degree. So this is why just by default I use the 8 Karaka scheme. Now, other people have other philosophies about these things. My point in these videos isn't to embrace all these controversies. People can do what they want. This is why I use the 8 schema. There's also a mixing between the, between the Matru and the Pitru Karaka. When you use the 7 schemes, the mother and the child are the same one, which again also doesn't really make sense to me. So I use the 8 Karaka scheme, and that means that I'm also using Rahu. And so in honor of that, I'm going to start with Rahu so I could explain that, do a little overview, and get on with it. Plus, I'm a Rahu kind of guy with Rahu in the first. I love me some Rahu. So we're going to talk about Rahu as the Atma Karaka in this video. So let's get into Rahu as the Atma Karaka and how that will, show the person's, fascination with this kind of soul nature, this unique individual soul nature coming through the planet of Rahu. Now again, what I am telling you about the Atma Karaka is it's really this energy that feels like a unique kind of soul awareness. And when that thing is active in the world, it's like this deep kind of soul recognition. As I said before, the sun is the regular Atma Karaka for everyone, the Paramatma Karaka, which is burning off the impurities of the unique self in the body and whatnot toward the universal self. That's what the sun does as the Atma Karaka, as the natural Atma Karaka, what's called the Sthira Karaka or the fixed Atma Karaka. The Charak Atma Karaka that we're talking about here, the one with the highest degree of longitude, shows this kind of unique vibration that is going to really captivate your mind and attention. And when you see that thing really operating in your life, it's going to show up with this real amazing sort of channel and conduit to your unique identity, and really, in many ways, connect you with the natural Atma Karaka of the sun. Really connect you with the natural Atman itself. And so when Rahu is the Atma Karaka, all you need to do is understand the Rahu areas of life, which have to do with things that are novel, things that are not of this world, things that are unique, and things that really connect us with something beyond this earth. Rahu Atma Karaka can definitely show an understanding and a power and a relationship with things such as astrology and other kinds of mysticism, metaphysics. Again, things not of this earth. Rahu is the energy that connects us directly with the answer and with the source, rather than processing it through our senses and our mind and our experiences on earth. Rahu is like the channel to that other world sort of metaphysical realm. Now, it often feels sort of hard to understand or out of control. This is why Rahu is a very unpredictable energy, because when we're getting this channel directly and then we're trying to filter it through our mind-body experience and the normal, realms of time, place, and person, again, through this matrix of mind-body, it's very confusing. This is why Rahu creates a lot of eccentric ideas. Some of them pan out, some of them don't. And if we don't align that with some pure teaching, then it can just go haywire. This is why one of the most important things with Rahu is literally the food you're eating. And I literally mean food, not just in the sort of metaphoric way, but I also mean the metaphoric food, but also literally the food that you eat. Because if you remember in the story, Rahu drank the poison, he drank the elixir, he drank the nectar of immortality, but then the head was cut off and it didn't permeate the whole being. So Rahu is like drunk, looking for the nectar of immortality. And he's trying to get, but instead he's often drunk on the power of the world. So being drunk on the power of the world is the initial stages of Rahu energy, where we're accelerating a certain level of karma, trying to get the answer really quickly. This is why it can lead to things like alcohol and drugs and other kinds of obsessions, right? So it's very important when we align that sort of compulsive nature to want to know something bigger and something beyond. That stress that says, who am I and why am I here? Why is any of this here? I just need to know. When we align that with a good answer, then amazing things happen. This is how Rahu energy can lead to this perceptive metaphysical awareness, because then once we start to tap into something pure and authentic beyond this world, the Rahu energy is like, oh, okay, that's it. But along the way, there are a lot of counterfeit versions of power and the answer, and this is it. And it's this thing, and we get all jacked up and excited and then sort of lose our way. So you could often see, this is the reason why Rahu refers to things like drugs and alcohol and stuff like that, because those are all what are called siddhis or powers. We can get that power, that siddhi, from the drug. Rahu says, well, if I can get it from the drug, then give me the drug. I want the power. I don't care how it comes. I'll just keep taking the drug. But eventually, maturity and experience says, yeah, but if you're getting it from the drug, it's not worth it because the drug isn't creating anything. It's just removing a certain blockage. So this is what Rahu eventually comes to realize, but you have to understand the real nature of Rahu is to have the experience. To have the experience. Again, Rahu is the things that we need to experience because you might believe it intellectually, but usually wherever Rahu is, we're going to try it at least once. Even if we know, okay, I know drugs are bad. I know this isn't right. I know ultimately that's not right. I do believe it, but I need to try it at least once. I need to figure it out for myself. I need to have the experience. That's what Rahu is here to do. And then after I have the experience, then I decide to stop or to continue. Rahu and Ketu, by the way, are energies where we don't listen to others. We have to have the experience ourselves with Rahu. And Ketu is where we've already had so much experience, we think we already got that figured out already. I'm not going to get too much into that dynamic because that's a long dynamic, but you just want to understand when Rahu is the Atma Karaka, we can easily be just fascinated with any sort of novelty and trivia and hypnotic, obsessive ideas, and hopefully we'll get to the truth eventually. So again, you have to always look at the other things that affect the planets, what they rule, their rulerships, where they are in the chart itself. We're just talking archetypally here, or as the fixed nature of the planet. But with Rahu especially, you have to look at the planets that it joins and the houses that it's in to see how Rahu as the Atma Karaka is going to behave. Again, because this is always the nature of both nodes, is how they give their effects based on the planets they join as a Bhava lord first, and then the Bhava they occupy second, right? And then their ruler. So this is a little, deeper. I have courses on how to analyze the nodes. But as the Atma Karaka, when Rahu's the Atma Karaka, you'll see that the person is just fascinated with anything that's unusual or out there or some alternative. Yes, this thing. If it's, the more, in fact, the crazier the better to some extent. So you'll see people experimenting and trying all kinds of things. Eventually, hopefully, they will get to eating some pure food, some Vedic food. Because this Vedic wisdom is, in many ways, I think, the highest, just in that it's organized and that it's connected to the dharmic traditions of the past. The path in the Vedic teachings are more together than any other, even though all the ancient people had the same wisdom. In the Indian school, we still have the sciences still pretty much intact, much more so than in other traditions. The last thing, and I should have maybe made it the first thing, is the way you calculate Rahu as the Atma Karaka is not when Rahu is at the highest degree, but it's when it's at the lowest degree. Because again, what you're looking at is how long the planet has been in that Rashi, has been in that sign. So the planet at the highest degree of any sign has been in that sign for a long time. Because Rahu moves backwards, the sign of Rahu being in a sign for a long time is when it's at the very beginning of the Rashi. So for example, if you have a chart where Jupiter is at 28 of a sign, but Rahu is at 1 of a sign, Rahu would be the Atma Karaka. Because Rahu enters the sign at 30. So that Jupiter at 28 and Rahu at 29, Jupiter would be higher because Jupiter has been in that Rashi since 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 29. Rahu enters the sign at 30 and then goes backwards. So again, like everything, Rahu is backwards, moving backwards, and it becomes the Atma Karaka at the highest degree when it's lower than the other ones, than its compatriots. So you want to assess Rahu as the Atma Karaka when it's lower, when it's subtracted from 30, not on its trajectory up toward 30 degrees. So if you have Rahu as the Atma Karaka, or you know people who do, let me know how this resonates with you. You'll find a very unusual approach, and when that unusual, novel, outlandish, even things like conspiracy theory, or the wilder, more outlandish, the better, when that's operating, the person is like, oh yeah, that's the truth. Because you got to blow everything up. You got to destroy everything. Everything needs to be transformed. Everything is just illusion. And when I'm in line with the illusion and penetrating the illusion, and that's the real thing. Again, Rahu fascinated with the illusion, right? So when that's the Atma Karaka, the person just kind of goes from one obsessive illusion to another, hopefully, eventually getting good guidance, high teachings, to where they can understand, okay, that's just called Maya. That's been known forever. I'm not inventing some new reality. It's all been explained and understood. And instead, I need to channel that obsessive fascination with novelty and figuring something new out with dharmic teachings. And the new thing I need to figure out is the truth of who I am and the true nature of self, and how the most revolutionary concept ever is the fact that I'm not just a drop in the ocean, I'm the ocean itself. And the ocean has dropped into me. That's the real fascination. And to channel all of that velocity of Rahu to go outside and try to do all this inward, toward the heart, toward something that's grounded and that's connected, so that purity of the Amrit, which Rahu got to take a taste of, he got to drink that immortal nectar, that pure wisdom can then be anchored in the heart and brought into a life of transformation, not just seduction and illusion and fascination with the external.